So today we're going to learn about how to divide polynomials using a method that we used back in middle school, long division. So before we try to divide polynomials with long division, let's review how we did it back in middle school. So let's look at example 1. We got 3,125 divided by 4. So if you think back to middle school, what you did is you took your number that you were dividing into, which is 3,125, and what you were dividing by was 4, you put it on the outside. So what you did first is you see if 4 goes into 30, but it doesn't. So now you got to see if 4 goes into 31. 4 goes into 31 7 times. So we put a 7 above the 31. Then we take the 7 and we multiply by the 4, right? Write our answer down here. 7 times 4 is 28. What do we do at this step? We draw a line under and do what? Subtract. So 31 minus 28. What is that? That's going to give us 3. What do we do? Think back to middle school. What did we do next? We brought the 2 down. Does 4 go into 32? It does. How many times? 8 times. So put an 8 above the 2. And then 8 times 4 is 32. Draw a line under and subtract. 32 minus 32 is 0. So we'll bring down the 5 now. How many times does 5 go? How many times does 4 go to 5? Once. And then 5 minus 4 is 1. So our answer is 781. The remainder is 1. And remember, you put the remainder over the number you're dividing by. So my answer is 781 and 1/4. Let's think about what this means. What this means is if you take 781 and you multiply by 4, you would get 3,124. But what did I have under there? 3,125. But remember, we got a remainder of 1. So if you take the remainder, which was 1, and add it to your answer, now you get what was under there. This is a way you can check it. Right, so now we're just going to do that same process, but we're going to do it with variables and exponents. So it's nothing new, it's the same method. So we're taking the quantity x squared plus 2x minus 30 divided by x minus 5. So we're going to draw our division. I'm going to put x squared plus 2x minus 30 under it. What am I dividing by? X minus 5. Alright. So what we're going to do, x minus 5, we're going to look at it. X minus 5 doesn't divide into x. So we want to see how many times it divides into x squared plus 2x. So what you want to do, the method to do this is you got to multiply something times your first term here to make it match the first term over here. So we're going to think, what can I multiply x by to get x squared? X. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write an x above the 2x. And just like I did at the top, I'm going to take x and multiply it by this number here, this value, this expression. So I'm going to take x times the quantity x minus 5. I get x times x, which is x squared. And then I get x times the negative 5, which is negative 5x. And if you think, what did we do next on the steps above? Once we multiply, we drew a line under it and subtract. So what I'm subtracting is this whole quantity here. So I got to subtract the x squared and the negative 5x. So what I like to do is I'm going to change this to a plus and make this a negative and make that a negative. It's like you doing the distributive property. I'm distributing -1 to both of these. So what is x squared plus negative x? That cancels out. That's what we wanted to. That's always gonna happen. We're always gonna match it. And then 2x plus 5x is 7x. And then I bring down my minus 30. So now, let's look at the first term here. It's x. Look at the first term down here. It's 7x. I gotta multiply something by 7x. I gotta multiply something by the x here to get 7x. So I want it to match. So when I subtract, it will cancel. So I'm gonna have to multiply by positive 7. So I'm gonna go plus 7 up here. So now I'm gonna take 7 times this quantity. 7 times that quantity gives me 7x minus 35. Draw a line under it and subtract. And again, we're subtracting both of these. So I'm going to change this subtraction sign to a plus and make this a negative, and that becomes a plus. Add these together, these cancel out, and we get 5. That's our remainder. And just like we did above, we're going to take a remainder and turn it into a fraction and put it over what we're dividing by, which was x minus 5. So this is my answer. What would happen is this. If you took x minus 5 and you times it by x plus 7. So if we do that real fast, it's just 4 of this out. X times x is x squared. X times 7 is 7x. Negative 5 times x is negative 5x. Negative 5 times 7 is negative 35. We get x squared plus 2x minus 35. But remember, we had a remainder. What was our remainder? 5. So if we take a remainder and add it to our answer, then we end up with x squared plus 2x minus 30. That's what we started with. All right, let's do another example. This one is a little trick you got to do on this one. I'm going to show you this trick. You always got to check for this. I didn't have to check it on the first one because it didn't happen. But I should always check it. So what am I doing here? I'm going to take x cubed minus 3x plus 2 and divide it by x plus 2. Well, the thing that you're dividing into, the thing that's under your division symbol, what you always want to do is you always want to make sure none of the variables are missing. What I mean by that is look at your largest exponent on your variable. It's a 3. Okay? The next largest exponent is a 1. Well, in between there should be an x squared. There's an x squared missing. To do long division, you have to have all the variables, all the possible variables listed out from after the largest one. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to erase this. And I'm going to have to put a placeholder value. Since it's not an x squared term, I'm going to put an x squared term in there. I'm going to put 0x squared. 0x squared is just 0. So I'm not changing the problem. Okay? So I got 3, I got 2. What's next? A 1. Do I have a 1? Yeah. And then I got my 2. That's to the 0 power. So always make sure you have all your exponents listed. Start with your biggest one, and then go down until you have down to 0. So we got 3, 2, 1, 0. All right. So now, here we go. I want to see what do I got to take times this x to get x cubed. What do you multiply by x to get x cubed? X squared. So I want to write x squared out here. I'm going to take this x squared and multiply it by that quantity. So I got to take the x squared times the x and times the 2. X squared times x gives me x cubed. X squared times 2 gives me 2x. Then we're going to draw a line under this and subtract. What I'm doing is I'm going to be subtracting both of these. I got to subtract this and this. So the way we get set up is this first term will always cancel out. So 0 minus 2 is negative 2. So we get negative 2x squared. And then I'm going to drop down to the negative 3x. So now I got to take something times this x to make it match negative 2x squared. What do you take times x to make it negative 2x squared? Negative 2x. So I'm going to take negative 2x times x is negative 2x squared. Negative 2x times positive 2 would be negative 4x. Draw a line under it and subtract your second expression. So I'm subtracting this expression right here. When you subtract the negative, it becomes positive. When you subtract the negative, it becomes positive. Now I'm going to add these together. So these cancel out. This gives me x. And then I'm going to bring down my plus 2. Now I got to take something times this x here to make it x, which is 1. So 1 times x is x. 1 times 2 is 2. And then draw a line under it and subtract. These cancels out, so the remainder is 0. Okay? So my answer is just x squared minus 2x plus 1 with a remainder of 0. When the remainder of 0 happens, what that actually means is this thing that I was dividing by is actually a factor of it. So using long division is another method for factoring. What that means is if you took x plus 2 and you multiply it by x squared minus 2x plus 1, you would get x cubed minus 3x plus 2. These are factors of this expression right here. So if they ask you to determine whether the thing you're divided by is a factor or not, you can tell by the remainder. If the remainder is 0, then it's a factor. All right? Questions? Tomorrow I'm going to show you another way to divide polynomials. And it's called synthetic division. But today I want you to use long division. So make sure you're using long division. Make sure you can do it on your own. Okay? You might have to go through and watch this video again to get some help. And you can always email me if you're having trouble. Maybe we can set up a Zoom conference or something.